Welcome everyone, Nigeria and the rest of the world. I am Gimba Umar and this is State of the Nation. And we've been following up on the disaster that has greeted the River Niger bank after that particular river overflowed, and over 100 communities were affected in that very disaster that we saw. 40 people have died as we counted this time. But joining me now to discuss this further is the CPS, that's the Chief Press Secretary of the Niger State Government. He joins me from our Abuja studios. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the show at this time. How are you at this time coping with this immediate need, which we understand is food and drugs for those affected in their IDP camps where you are?
Yeah, thank you very much, Gimba. First, let me use the opportunity to thank our colleagues, the members of the media, especially Channel Television and other media organizations, print, broadcast, online publishers, and other stakeholders, both at home and abroad, who have shown concern to what is happening in Niger State. And on behalf of Governor Abubakar Sani Bello and the people of Niger State, I would like to use this opportunity to thank all those who have called His Excellency, the Governor of Niger State, and other stakeholders on this disaster. The step that have been taken, what you saw, which was the area view that His Excellency had with some member of his cabinet, the Deputy Governor, Alai Mohamed Ahmed Ketu, his Chief of Staff, his Commissioner of Works and that of Environment, a Special Advisor, and the DG, Niger State Emergency Management, was in furtherance of what he has already done. That is taking appropriate steps to reach out to the community and also ensuring that affected communities are taken care of by emergency, the state in SEMA. And what you saw was actually a step, not just to bring the challenges of the state to a national attention, but also to see that efforts are being made. In 2016, a similar but not as much as this flood also ravaged some of these communities. And at that time, Governor Abubakar Sani Bello took and members of the cabinet and other stakeholders went around this affected community. But this time, he went further, to have an area view so that he has a bird eye view and look at the totality of the damage from the air. And that is why you can see the impact of those communities that were submerged. It's better seen when captured from the air. So appropriate steps have been taken by all through multi-sectoral approach by all concerned agencies, the State Emergency Management Agency, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Environment, and other stakeholders have all intervened, and appropriate releases have been made to buy drug, and also IDP camps have also been established because so far 22 out of 25 local governments in the state, in Niger State, have been affected. But the area view which you saw, which I've just shown now, is about seven local governments which are all on the tributaries of River Niger and River Kaduna, cutting across Mokwa local government, Edati local government, Lavu local government, Kacha, Agwe, Lapai, and all these are the areas that His Excellency and again and other members of cabinet flew around to engage the people and also to say that these are the steps that have been taken by the government.
All right, if you allow me to just butt in, just so we can have a two-way conversation. But this is not the first flooding experience. As a matter of fact, you did point to 2016 when this happened. And as far back as 2012, I also remember recounting to recent history. The same thing is repeating itself again. Clarify this for us. Have the displaced people in those past experiences in IDP camps from 2016-2012 flooding, have they returned to their homes?
Yes, of course, you know that part of the challenges, of course, which His Excellency did noted in his comment during his visit to on the affected community, is that one of the most difficult to do, and it's globally, it's not only either Niger State or in Nigeria. When he comes to where people live, whether by flood or whatever, it's very difficult to relocate people. And that is why His Excellency Abubakar is talking about taking appropriate steps to find permanent solution to this challenge, which is resettlement. Some of these communities, of course, have been resettled in some other places that, but you should also know that their livelihood depend on the waters. They are farmers, they are largely fishermen and farmers whose livelihood depend on what the waters around the rivers. So it is one of the most difficult things to do, and it has to be with a continuous sensitization and ensuring that the right thing is done. And what has even helped Niger State this time was the step that was taken by the state government to sensitize people based on the warning by the National Meteorological Agency.
Yes. We also got those warnings and were able to push them through. But have you received any response from the federal government, for instance? Because time is of the essence to try to prevent an outbreak of waterborne diseases, for instance, cholera, that affects children especially.
Yes, if you also recall in the interview His Excellency had when he visited some of this affected community, one of the issues that he did raise was he was calling on the federal government to also assist the state government in spite of the fact that the state has taken appropriate step, IDP camp as you have shown, which is right there in Zungeru and other communities. And of course, some of these communities, there are no IDP camp because they quickly move to their relations and all of that, but also they have been released by the state government to also ensure that they are provided with appropriate medication, appropriate food items, and other things that will make that will reduce the pressure of or the impact of this unfortunate situation.
Now, in 2017, we had a similar experience, actually in 2016, but we had some responses in 2017 where the acting president at the time, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, ordered the release of 1.6 billion naira for victims of floods in 16 states of the Federation. And the money was said to have been released to the emergency agency, that's NEMA, for onward disbursement. Was your state part of that government aid?
Well, what I will say is that a lot of things that is done by government, like you rightly said, when His Excellency Governor Abubakar Sani Bello did said that he will require the assistance of government, it's not every process of getting things done in government that is within the public domain. For instance, when he left that area, he came straight to Abuja to submit his form for re-election. But after that, throughout the 2 days that I spent in Abuja, it's all in the process of getting attention, appropriate attention, and also lobbying, and also requesting and talking to the appropriate stakeholder to get federal government involved and also to support this cause of the effort that and the step that he has taken to mitigate the devastation of flooding in this area.
Now, you know, we get these complaints almost on a regular basis. Officials of NEMA, we understand, at the federal and state levels, keeping relief materials to themselves. Is that really the case?
No, I mean, Niger State, in this case, would be an exception. There's nothing like that because every step that is taken in Niger State, there is appropriate step to also monitor whatever has been done. The level of response and how whatever is released for these people, and that is why you see that His Excellency doesn't just sit in the office. Like this area view that they had is unprecedented. The state governor and his deputy moving, of course, different aircraft, but into an area which you know is like saying the president and the vice president moving to an emergency area just because of their concern for this area. So anybody who is given that assignment will know that this is not an assignment to joke with. And there have never been any case of a diversion of food or relief item in Niger State. The DGA in SEMA, of course, the deputy governor, he's the one who is directly in charge of that. There have never, since the inception of this administration, where there are cases of diversion of any relief item made available for affected victim of flood or any kind of disaster.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear that from Niger State we're not having that kind of scenario, and that's not the case. But what's your next move for your state government, considering the enormity of this disaster and looking at the balance of the ecological funds in the CBN's coffers, as of June last year was 29.8 billion naira? What do you think can be done at this time?
Well, like I said, some of these steps, some of the steps that are taken by Governor Abubakar Sani Bello and indeed Niger State government are not things that are necessarily in the public domain, which of course is a normal.
Let me just get this directly to you. Is he asking for ecological funds to be used to try to help the people, many of them in IDP camps today that are stranded, some of them trying to relocate to higher grounds?
Please, can you take that again?
Is he asking the government at this time to use from the ecological funds to try to help people out that are trapped in this disaster that has happened in Niger State?
Well, His Excellency Governor Abubakar Sani Bello have, of course, by what you are doing and the step he has taken, drawn both national and global attention to the challenge that the state is facing. Of course, you know that Niger State has up to 3 dams, and the 4th one is on now. So this is something that is seen, that anybody know that this is not a challenge that that is a challenge that is beyond the Niger State government. So anybody who sees this, and of course I know that federal government will take appropriate steps, not just short or medium time, but permanent solution towards ensuring that all affected communities are taken care of and mitigate against future occurrence of similar flooding.
That's a good place to let it rest. I must thank you for your time on State of the Nation. Jibrin Baba Ndache, the Chief Press Secretary to the Niger State government. Now, when we return, how much compliance was there by people from the eastern part of the country on the order of the IPOB to sit at home in their order? The commissioners of police from some southern states will be, some eastern states rather, will be joining me in just a moment. Stay with us.